Well, hello and a very warm welcome back to the TNC podcast. Who knows, you might get more shots on target in this hour than Norwich City have mustered up in the last 3 games of competitive football.
What a cheery note to start things off with.
The last time we sat here,
yes,
the hats were getting touched.
No, they weren't.
Forcing Amankra just written himself into Norwich City folklore.
And we did...
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Well, lots has gone wrong.
I still stand by what we said though. If we'd got something from both of those games, I would have been looking around, but we didn't.
What about if we'd have had a shot on target?
Well, let's go into the shots on target thing straight away, shall we? Because I thought Johannes Softerup's press conference post Sheffield United was actually really interesting. Actually, without sounding like a footballer, I feel like the old school football fans were impressed with the press conference. Well, like, who cares, Chris? I'm like, well, actually, I found what he said about shots on target really interesting. The only thing I'd positively challenge Johannes on with regards to the shots on target shenanigans, and I do understand where fans are coming from on this. It is I actually do think it is an important metric to look at. Of course, you don't
score if you don't have shots on target.
Correct, for sure. But at the same time, if you're really good at taking your chances, doesn't matter how many if you take your chances. So I get where Johannes is coming from. And then he said something along the lines of, it's about the game picture, which I quite like what he's on about with that. And it's about getting yourself into the right areas. Now, that might have been the case away at Sheffield United. I'm not entirely convinced we did, but I'm pretty. It was pretty clear away at Leeds that we were barely in the final third. I think we'd made something like either 5 or 6 touches in Leeds' box all game.
Yeah.
Touches. And you had actually put something out, Jack, like, oh yeah, well, we're knocking the ball about well. And I'm a big believer in Johannes' style, playing it out from the back. I'm certainly not on the side of the fence of don't believe in all that rubbish, get it out, kick it long, all that. I'm not there. But where you have possession's important as well. And I think Darren Huckabee put something out online about this, is that if you show that we weren't showing threat. Now, it's a word that I've barely used before, but it's probably where I've landed off the back of listening to Johannes' genuine football knowledge and what's important, scoring goals. And actually, even if we have to show signs of threat, like, oh, here we go, we could do something here. We weren't doing that at Sheffield United, and we weren't doing that at Leeds. And I do think that squad, and we're going to talk about this probably now, actually, Jack. I totally understand that the squad is dissipated. Is that a word? Decimated.
But dissipated sounds good.
Decimated, desecrated.
It's worse than decimated.
It's I understand that the squad is on its arse right now, but at the same time, and I put this out online, I think we've let our standards slip.
Well,
I expect the boys that were out there on that pitch at Sheffield United and Leeds, like, yes, we should have had a shot on target, but also we had to have shown more threat than we did. And I think...
Is this your new word of the month? Threat.
Threat, yeah. Showing signs of threat. Do you know what I mean by that, Jack? As in, like, wingers are picking up the ball, driving forwards with it. I mean, one of the problems, and, he'll say this himself, is when you're in a position where you're choosing to play a winger up front and no one else is a ball carrier... That's an issue, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there's context with everything, but particularly around this.
Yeah.
Brighton in the FA Cup, where would I have started Marcelino, Nunes and that? Well, actually, he probably didn't have much choice, so we had to. Nunes and Forson limp off.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've got an injury crisis again. It seems like just as we're starting to get people back, it's crisis again. They're not easy to deal with, particularly when you have to go to Bramall Lane and Ellen Road in a week.
Yeah.
So you've got Brighton, Sheffield United, Leeds. That's a run of form where I think all of us deep down were in a position where we knew Norwich were never at a top 2 level.
Oh, it was going to be so
Which
tough.
is where Leeds and Sheffield United are.
Yes.
I think the more optimistic amongst us, and probably every Norwich fan after you see us beat Watford or Hull at home, go, okay, I think we're in the top 6 contenders bracket.
Yeah.
And then some games this season, I'm thinking, I don't know, like Preston away or something, you go, oh, we're like mid-table fodder.
Yeah.
The balance is somewhere in between there, and that's ultimately where we are at the moment. This was never going to be a defining week, and this was going to be a week where if you could just get through relatively unscathed, and I think Norwich actually have done that. We've not got any more key players out. We've not been thumped 6-0, where after Solomon scores after 30 seconds against Leeds, I'm thinking, this could get tasty.
Yeah.
And actually, we'll get onto the Leeds game in a bit, but for in between their first goal, which was basically the start of the game, and their second goal, Norwich looked okay. Now, we didn't create chances, we didn't have shots on goal, that's not good enough, but the play was like, okay, we're trying to do something here.
And you know, I want to be so clear here, right? I am not criticising, well, I don't think I am anyway, I'm not criticising the approach to the games, and I'm not criticising Johannes Off-Turp at all. Not that it matters if I criticise him, if I think that there's something wrong with what he's doing. I wouldn't have started Onel up front, but that's another conversation.
Well, he was kind of out on the right, wasn't he?
But what I would say is I actually understood Johannes' thought process, because we're going away to Sheffield United, who are in top 2 contention. We're going away to Leeds United, who, if they don't win the league with that squad, is it's like a crime against football. It's a joke what they've got. Probably one of the strongest in terms of squad depth that the Championship's ever seen, right? So I get that he's gone to those gaffes and he's gone, right, let's go here and let's try and suck up the pressure. Not necessarily park the bus, but suck up the pressure. Keep it tight, which is laughable considering we conceded after 33 seconds against Leeds, and then we'll try and hit them on the counter. I get that. Maybe that is parking the bus, but then in both games, both goals for Sheffield United and both goals for Leeds United were Norwich City mistakes, blunders, errors, sloppy, and that's both annoying, but it's also you think to yourself, well, and I know it's, if my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle, but if we hadn't have made those mistakes, we actually limited Leeds and Sheffield United really to kind of like not massive chances really. So I don't know, maybe I'm seeing this a bit sunny side up, Jack, but I'm not crying myself to sleep over these 2 results.
And I think the reason you're not crying yourself to sleep over these results is, let's read the injury list.
Go.
Borja Sainz is out, granted not injured, but he's not available.
Yeah.
Marcelino Nunez, Jose Cordoba, Amankwa Forson, Jakob Sorensen, Liam Gibbs, Gabe Forsyth, and Esplain Slimani. Most of those are midfielders.
Yeah.
It means that you're having to play...
Well, hang on, you've not even said them. There's more. Did you say Gibbs and Sorensen? And Forsyth?
Yeah.
Oh, you did say that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wasn't listening.
You sort of zoned out, which you normally do when I talk. But, you're having to play 18-year-old Schwartau as a false 9. You're having to start on El Hernandez. We've had that conversation. I don't think he's a starter. I think he's an effective substitute.
Okay.
You're having to play 20-year-old Kellen Fisher as a holding midfielder. And ultimately, yes, the first goal against Leeds, unforgivable. Somehow, which was really impressive in the opening 30 seconds, Jack Stacey, Callum Doyle, Shane Duffy, Ben Crossett and Angus Gunn have all made a mistake within the opening 30 seconds. That was car crash defending. The second Leeds goal is a lack of communication between Kellen and Angus. My point is, when you're up against good teams, you don't have a whole load of the ball. Mistakes will creep in, so you have to counter that with a goal of your own.
Yes.
You're not going to win games, draw games when you're not creating chances. So, look, I feel like I've said this a lot this season. It feels like an important period is coming up for Norwich City. This 3-game run, Brighton, Sheffield United, Leeds, 1 shot on target in 3 games, no goals scored, 8 goals conceded, is a bad run. You forget about that if you now go and win 6 home games in a row, or don't lose. So these aren't the games that are going to define you. I think what it does show really kind of vividly is where this squad is at.
Yes.
And I'm not surprised, might be the wrong word. I am surprised that Norwich haven't made more of and not an effort, but more of just an outgoingness to sign more players in January. Johannes Hoff-Torp, identified that he wanted a central defensive midfielder. I think there's a little bit of Johannes trying to maybe play the media a bit and go, I want a central defensive midfielder. That might put a bit of pressure on the board. Go that way around it, and that's a clever tactic.
Right.
This squad is in a position of you've got a mismatch of recruitment over a 5-year period, which has essentially resulted in this.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of injuries, which is, whether it's unlucky or not, you can argue that amongst yourselves, but there's people missing. This squad is bare. I mean, you saw the substitutes bench against Leeds. You've got, basically a youth team, and that's going to be really difficult. So it feels like there's a massive summer ahead. I get, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, I get why Norwich haven't thrown cash at January. It's historically a really difficult window to sign good players. Yeah. Their targets probably aren't out there. But I said it in my Leeds review, you're almost approaching the second half of this season, much like we were with David Wagner, where the squad's not really in the right place. In David Wagner's situation, you knew he was going to get sacked. It was just when. Yeah. That's not the case with Johannes.
Yes.
But you're in a position with the squad where you're like, you're almost at a point of sleepwalking through the second half of that season. And I don't want that to happen, because I think this squad does have potential.
Well, there's lots to go off on that, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned now off the back of these two games that the narrative and feeling amongst the fans is, never mind, forget this season. I've seen it online. And that will seep through into the players, believe me, right?
Just quickly during that Leeds game, the two Leeds, usually when the opposition score against Norwich, I'm fuming.
Yeah.
I'm fuming.
Yeah.
I switched over and put the traitors on. I was like,
are you joking me?
Well, I was on my laptop in the corner. I was like, there we go, 2-0 game over. And that, I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
I love Claudia Winkleman and the traitors, but I'd much rather be watching Josh Sargent.
You are being a traitor to Norwich City right now.
That's where we're at with things.
Well, yeah, I am. Yeah, as I say, I'm just concerned now that there is a feeling where people are, don't worry about it. I am worried about it, and I'll tell you why. Because if we don't finish in a higher position in the league this season, it's going to be more difficult to attract a better calibre of player next season if we're not in the hunt for the playoffs at least, right? And at the minute, it looks like we're not going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. What I would caveat that with is we've got a good set of games coming up where I'd like to think, we're going to talk about it later on, I'd like to think we get some results, Jack.
Yeah.
Just to respond to your point about the January window, and I was talking about this with Rob Butler on the scrimmage this week.
Nice plug.
Thank you. You did Canary Call at Brighton, by the way,
didn't you?
It was great. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. Rob got me up for the cup.
Good. That was a miracle.
And by the end of it, he was less up for the cup than I was.
My point is with the January window, we are able to sign our targets, and we know the importance of that, and that's why we've signed Matej Jurasek, which of course we're going to be talking about in a minute as well. So they're more than fine to get them in if they think that another club's going to get them, and managing to get him, Club Bruges were in for him amongst other European clubs too, I understand. So it's a big signing. It shows that we are capable. I'm worried that our current recruitment plan, as I see it, is we're signing young, foreign, green bananas, I call them. So they're not quite ripe yet, for those of you that didn't listen to the podcast last time around. Now, that's okay.
I thought you were going to say, for those that aren't aware of how sort of bananas ripen there.
Just in case you didn't know how bananas ripen. They're green at the start and yellow when they're ready.
I tell you.
But my point is, which I'll get there eventually on, is if you're going to stick with that, surely you need to sign those young foreign players that aren't quite ready in January so that they have the 6 months of settling in the UK, so that next season, when, by the way, the fans are going to be expecting, that they'll be ready.
Yeah, big season.
Ante Sanat is a prime example of a green banana. He's not quite ready yet, but he will be ready, I hope, next season. The other thing to factor in is the Yanks are in they're going to have a majority share in this football club, and that happens in March, right? Which is annoyingly not this window. It's the summer window. I think we're heaping a lot of pressure on the next summer window.
It's massive.
I think we're heaping a lot of pressure on it, and I'm okay if they do it. Then fucking fair play. But after the last couple of windows, Jack, I'm thinking.
But you're then in a position, and we've discussed before, we won't go over it again. Borja's probably going to go.
Yes.
Angus Gunn's probably going to go.
Yes.
Sargent.
Yes.
God forbid he goes.
Yes.
So,
Nunes.
And then are we sat here at this point in a year's time going, well, we need to give it another season because there's so many new players in, and there was so much turnover.
This is why I'm saying I do actually think we needed to try and be a bit more brave in this window. And hey, by the way, there's time left.
Optimistic. You're saying that through slightly gritted teeth.
Yeah. Do I think we're going to sign anyone else? No, I don't. But do I hope we do? Yes. I feel so sorry for Johannes, and I don't want that to come across as patronising, but I think at the minute he's going to come under some criticism, but he can only play with the cards that he's got.
Well,
the subs.
Well, let's look at the lineup from the Leeds game. The substitutes bench were Kenabo. I mean, he was on a loan at Stevenage.
And didn't get a game at Stevenage, by the way.
JJ, who's 18 years old.
I am quite impressed with him, actually.
Jayden Warner.
Yeah.
George Long.
Jayden Warner's been rumoured to get a move away.
Brad Hills. Elliot Miles.
So they're all
Lucien Mahavo.
They're all kids.
Sargent and Sinak. So you've got a youth team.
Yeah.
And then two players who are knackered and returning from injury.
And hey, by the way, want to be abundantly clear, I'm not doing down the young guys. I'm actually really excited about a few of them. Elliot Miles is one.
It presents opportunity.
For sure, I get that. But to be in that position where they're all there, and that's your only subs, you're like,
well, the other risk you have is, and this won't be the case, but when you're chucking in, a Lucien Mahavo in against the Leeds side, confidence can get
maybe
So,
I don't think so, but maybe.
Where are you at with your buzzword at the moment is threat?
Yes.
The buzzword for everyone this season has been transition.
Yes.
Do you kind of want to gouge your eyeballs out when you read transition, or are you sympathetic to that phrase at the moment?
Yeah, it's really interesting, this word, it's a transition season, it's all right, don't worry about it. And it goes back to my previous point of, I think a lot of people are like, almost like, well, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. This season, it's just a transition. Forget it. Don't worry. I don't think that's the right attitude. I think it's passive.
That's interesting.
Maybe it's what the club want. Maybe it's almost like they've played a blinder that so many fans are almost like, don't worry about it. But then I just think, again, it heaps so much pressure on this summer window coming up, Jack. And yes, I am buying into this being a transition season, but I still have standards. And that is that we should be having at least one shot on target per game. I'm not asking for much. And actually, back to my buzzword of this podcast, threat. We should be at least showing threat, and we haven't. And regardless of injuries or not, that's not been good enough. I do expect that to change it against Swansea, by the way. So in terms of it being a transition for me, I am buying into it. I just think some people have almost bought into it so much that they've basically just given up on this season, and I think that's a little bit concerning. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think you're right in terms of I'm starting to feel slight nervous energy towards this summer window because it does feel big. Like it does feel you've got players who need to move on, who are out of contract, and that will happen. Mm-hmm. You're probably going to have a couple of big sales in there, like we saw last year with Rowe and Sarah. We know how hard those guys are to replace. So you've got that issue. You've got, Johannes is trying to bring in his own style and his own players. Can that happen over one summer window? Don't think it can.
Hey, let me come in quickly. Also, it's a transition in terms of our style of play.
Yeah.
And don't forget, this season, Johannes has had 2 injury crises to deal with. And how you're trying to embed a style of play. You're transitioning the style of play.
And to be fair with that, I think that's actually happened quicker than I thought.
Yeah, me too. But bloody hell, it's not exactly been consistent. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that we think that everything is going to happen like it did with Webber and Farker. That was the perfect storm. They essentially turned that round in less than a year. and like we went from where we were last season.
Yeah.
We think that happens as quick. Like that was a unique case and lots of variables. There was a bit of luck. There was a bit of naivety. There was class. There was that isn't realistic. Like it's transition. I'm worried. This isn't a job that's going to happen over a summer. I think this could be
couple
3, 4.
Really.
And you look at Brentford, right? When Matthew Benham first came in, I think they were in the Championship for 7 seasons.
Interesting.
Why do we have the audacity and the right to go, I think we can do this next year? Look at Stoke. Stoke have spent hundreds of millions of pounds trying to get out of the Championship. They've gone through good Championship managers. Like, are we any different to Stoke?
Well, I think
they were a more established Premier League side than we were. They've got far more money than we do.
The only thing I would positively challenge on that is the Yanks are here now, and the Yanks will be here for the summer window.
But they've not got more money than Denise Coates have.
No. Well, but are they willing to spend it? That's the difference, right? I think it's really interesting. I'm really excited to hear the thoughts and feelings of the Yellow Army on this and this word, transition. Are you buying into it? Are you not? Are we giving too much emphasis on this being a transition? Are you concerned like Jack is going to take 4 years? I don't think it's going to be 4 years.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
I think it'll be 2 more windows until we've fully transitioned.
And ultimately, it comes back to what I was saying on the last podcast. You just have to get into a position, and it's not easy. You have to get into a position where you're just, and it sounds like horribly kind of soppy, but you just have to enjoy the process and the journey of this, because ultimately we reach our goal of promotion. Then what? You're desperate. Will we get a shot on target then? Like we've been there before. We know how relentless and how utterly degrading that experience is being in the Premier League.
But mate, don't even think about that right now. Like, there's literally 0 point in any Norwich City fan thinking about the Premier League.
But that's what I'm saying. Let's enjoy the process.
Yeah, okay, right.
Let's enjoy watching, Kellen Fisher and holding midfield.
So,
Let's try and take positives from that.
But then to enjoy the process, we need more quality than what we've got right now. And Johannes hasn't been given that. I had a response to one of my social posts after the Leeds game. I kind of agreed with it. I wonder whether there's almost, and I don't think so, but part of me thinks I wonder whether Johannes is going with what he's got in the way that he is and saying things that he is, almost saying, I need some help.
Oh, 100%.
I might be wrong.
100%.
I might be completely, completely wrong about that. But if I was him, I certainly would be. Bloody hell, come on, guys! Like,
100%.
I'm a huge Kellen Fisher fan, but to be playing him in holding midfield. By the way, I think he will be capable one day because he's able to play multiple positions. But he's not. That's not his position. And El Hernandez up front is not his position.
Well, even with Schwartau and Sienna, Schwartau I think has had a good season. We've almost played him too much. Sienna,
maybe, interesting.
Knackered. Looks absolutely knackered. Like. So he's having to kind of. I agree. I think he is saying certain things and doing certain things to go. Help me out, guys.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We might be wrong on that, but I think it's really interesting, this transition thing.
Look, we've got lots of questions to get through.
Yes.
Let's do that now.
Okay.
Right, let's kick things off with a positive. And actually, I must say a big thank you to.
Come on.
Alwyn, is it? Alwyn OTBC? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, hello Alwyn.
Who was said, where's the podcast, basically?
Hello.
Keeping us up to speed.
Here it is.
Look, we're two, although we might not look it, quite busy, annoyingly busy people, so we're trying our best to get these podcasts out regularly, but if we do miss a week, please forgive us. Anyway, let's kick things off with a positive. He says, I think we're overreacting here. We've not really lost any ground on the playoffs, and we've had 2 difficult games out of the way. We look more likely than we did under Wagner, and when Jurasek, Sainz and Sarge are available, we'll be capable of going on a good run. Back the boys. I think this is
okay.
It has felt, Chris, like one of those seasons where you win a couple of games at home, you're 2 points off the playoffs and you're going, oh my goodness, we're close again. Yeah. And then you lose a couple of games, you're going, oh, now we're like, what are we, 6 points off the playoffs, something like that?
We are currently on 36 points.
Yeah, so 6 points.
Yeah.
So like that, you could quite easily see us making up that ground over the next few weeks. I suspect that we will win a few home games in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
As we've said earlier, the next, I think, 8 games look favourable. I think it takes us to the start of March.
Yes.
I'm hoping that we get to that period and we're within touching distance.
Okay.
And I see that as a possibility. this is the frustrating thing that Alwyn's kind of said. Like, when we've had Sarge and Sainz and Sinat and McLean and Nunes and Slimane all fit, we look like a really capable team.
I agree.
That's probably happened once this season.
Yeah.
Which is so frustrating.
Yes.
So frustrating.
Yes.
Anyway, he's positive.
Yeah, no, I agree with Alwyn's point. Despite the last 2 games, I think I'm certainly all in on what we're trying to do. I do think Johannes needs more help than he's getting at the moment in terms of incomings. But I do agree, Alwyn. There is some favourable fixtures coming up. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I expect us to beat Swansea, and I want a brilliant performance as well. Sargent has to start. I think he will start, and that will make a huge difference. That'll make a huge difference. What about this from Stephen Lister, our fantastic
Stephen.
designer?
Best designer in the
incredible designer, Stephen Lister.
He is the Josh Sargent of TNC.
He is.
When he goes on holiday, everything falls apart.
So what does that make me, Grant Hanley?
You're kind of like...
Actually, no, I've not left yet.
You're Kenny McLean. You're always there, buzzing about. Like, sometimes slight ill discipline can keep you out of action, but usually very reliable and effective.
I'd say that. So what are you?
I'm probably like 2016 Gary Hooper.
I'd say you might be a bit more of a Shane Duffy.
No, I'm that would be disrespectful to Duffy. I think
you make a mistake.
I can make an impact, but I'm not as mobile as I once was.
Right. Actually, I'm not going to say the reasons why I've said Shane Duffy for you.
That's how rumours start.
Stephen says, how do we improve the soulless atmosphere at Carrow Road ATM?
Ooh, blimey, Stephen.
The drum is a nice addition, but as the Coventry fans sang the other week, play your drum and you still don't sing. It looks a bit tin pot if we don't back the drum up.
Well, look how that ended for Coventry.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's quite a scathing review from Stephen.
I think Stephen has actually got a really good point.
Doesn't Stephen sit in the South Stand or something?
But what I would say back to Stephen is it's the least of our worries right now. And I always go this atmosphere debate goes on, and the same thing happens every season.
And also, it happens at every single football club.
Yeah, that's also
whether it's Palace, whether it's QPR,
and that is important to say.
Every club,
it's like almost like football's going through a transition itself at the moment.
Of course it is,
what was a football fan back in the day, making noise and backing the boys, sadly now. It's got very expensive and it's full of people that can't even be asked to clap, Stephen. We absolutely should and have to back the drum up. I agree. I would even go one step further and say, like, ideally, we never really wanted to be in a position where we had to have a drum, but we needed it to make something. But I always go back to what Kenny McLean said in our podcast. And he took accountability and responsibility and said, here's how the dance works. He didn't say this, but here's how I'm interpreting it. The dance works like this. The players start fast, play good football, and obviously, hopefully score goals. And then the fans think, something's happened. Threat, back to that word. Show threat, and the fans go, here we go. Yeah, they need a bit of help here to get over the line. Here we go. And even when we go a goal down, we respond. Yeah. But if we are not showing any signs of threat,
I think that's a bit harsh. I think there's been some really good atmospheres this season. You only have to look back to Coventry, and I know that was a once in a...
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's not Stephen's point. He's not saying there hasn't been any good atmospheres. He's saying, like, I can't believe that we've got a drum and we still don't back the drum. And I agree with Stephen. I'm in the Barclay, and there's times where I'm literally singing on my own.
Well, look, what word have we mentioned most in this podcast?
Threat.
Other than threat. Passiveness.
Passion.
And transition. And ultimately, if you're a fan and you're going, we're not going to sign any players till the summer, that creeps in.
It does.
I mean, Coventry, the last minute goal against QPR, Watford, Plymouth. There's been some corking atmospheres this season. And you're right. I'm a complete believer. We are not like in Germany where the culture is different and they're bouncing and it's choreographed. I actually think that's a bit naff. I don't like that.
No, I disagree. I love
prefer it when it's impulsive and it's spontaneous and your players are thriving off the fans. fans are thriving off the players.
Disagree. Mate, I wish it was like fucking Brazil. No. I wish we were all hanging off the stands going,
I don't like it. I think that's really fake.
With the putt. It's not fake. It would be fake for you. I'll tell you why it'd be fake for you, because you've got no passion. You've got no passion for the game.
I disagree. I've been to, Orlando when Kaká was there, and
that's
it's
choreographed. Right, big difference. No offense to our American subscribers, huge difference between American atmospheres and a Brazil or a Germany. Huge difference.
You think you're going to get Freddie from Fakenham, who's just had a 12-hour shift on his tractor harvesting sugar beet, dancing like a Brazilian in Barclay?
I fucking think that Freddie should be doing that.
Belinda from Bothorpe, who's just done 10 hours at Gala Bingo.
Yes, Belinda.
Think you're going to get her doing a Brazilian samba at the back of the city stand?
The reality,
you need to get your head in the real world, Chris.
Yes, wait for it. The reality is that's never going to happen. But do I wish it would happen? Yes, I do.
Jonathan Parker.
Oh, go on. Oh, hello, Jonathan.
To be fair, we put these questions out post Sheffield United.
Oh, Johnny P.
So there's a little bit more optimism than... There's a lot of excitement in the questions.
Come on, what's he saying?
Jonathan's got a rant, because I want to balance it out a bit. He said, we need another centre forward. Yes, Josh is number one, but he's got a poor injury record, so he needs cover. Also, this person could be brought in to lessen Josh's workload or to play up top. Sinat might be that player one day.
Correct.
But he's shown he's not up to it yet.
Correct.
Think Rhodes backing up Pookie. And the previous iteration to that was Graben, Hooper, Jerome.
Bang on. Yeah, I actually completely agree with that. And unfortunately for the club, going back to a previous comment, Ante Sinat has been too much of a green banana for this season. What about this from Jamie Everson?
Hello, Jamie.
Very random, but don't say we don't respond to any and everything. Question, should we be questioning the appointment of Jack Wilshere? Such a random shout. I don't think Jack's done anything wrong, has he?
I know I keep saying this every podcast, and it's probably more of a reflection of me than it is Jack. I keep forgetting he's here. I saw our dear friend and one of my favourite humans on earth the other week, Robbie from AFTV.
Ledge.
And he was like, how's Jack getting on at Norwich? I went, Jack who? He's like, Wilshere. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, Robbie, he's at Norwich. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know his job.
I see him occasionally, and he's obviously learning his trade. Look, he's still young. He's coaching. I must say, when he was appointed, I didn't think to myself, oh, thank goodness Jack Wilshere's here. He's going to change the season.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it, how the game's changed? Because now there's fans that are taking interest in who the first team coach is. There's fans taking interest in spending too much in January because we need to get a better signing in the summer.
Well, think back to
are we going to start analysing who the fucking toilet cleaners are at Canaries now as well?
Think back to Nigel Worthington.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who his coaching staff. I'm sure I was young, but
big up Dave Carolan.
The intricacies and there's
I know
guys out there on Twitter now.
Yeah.
The entire staff roster at Norwich.
Hang on. Yeah. That's a yellow card.
It's the American
That's
influence.
a yellow card. Never say that word on this podcast again.
I'm trying to appeal to our American audience after I've just slagged them off.
Roster. Stick rosters up your ass. Right.
Forsen lover.
Yeah, come on then. What's he saying?
Within 3 weeks, we'll get most of our players back.
Yes.
We'll get as many points as we can until then. But from then on, we'll get a very good run going until getting us into the playoffs. Last season, we were in a similar position. You're right.
Yep.
And we managed to get the playoffs. Patience and
Easier said than done, but yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Because, to back up Forsen lover there, when we've had a full strength side, we do look very good.
We just have barely had a full strength side.
Is that Jack Wilshere's effect?
What?
Bring injuries.
No, for God's sake. Get off Jack Wilshere's back. Matt Sales' question: who's had the best XP this season so far? So again, just to repeat, we're going to repeat this until next season. For those of you that don't watch the podcast often enough, XP, expected passion. TalkNorwichCity have officially trademarked this term now. So Matt Sales says, who's had the most expected passion so far this season?
Well, I'll give you a curveball.
I know exactly what you're going to say, and it scares me.
And he's not even here anymore.
No, I knew you were going to say Cade Gordon.
Cade Gordon!
That's shocking.
The XP of Cade Gordon against Coventry.
And do you know what as well? Do you know what's concerning?
Go on, Cade.
Do you know what's concerning?
Go rip it up at Melwood. Go on, Cade. Bring him back. And his XP after his
Do you know what?
Hull.
Do you know
that was good as well. He's the winger we might be crying out for.
Oh, mate, no, stop.
Tate Gordon.
Stop, mate. This is what concerns me about the season. You posted something like this as well, and it was very, very good of you. But there's people like, when Cade went back to Liverpool, everyone was like, oh, he worked hard, I remember when he celebrated that goal, he got everyone back for the goal, great attitude. Oh,
Have I gone a bit woke?
Guys, come on. Are we really at that level now? Oh, well done. You told the lads to get back. Fucking hell. I'm sorry.
So go on then, who's yours?
It's not. Tell me it's not.
No, it's not. I'll tell you my XP / favourite moment of the season.
Come on.
Duffy Dino away at Preston.
Duffy Dino away at
We were doing the watch along.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You liked a bit of
It was
Duffy
one of the
Dino.
few moments where my telly didn't freeze, so we actually saw it.
I would say that Duffy Dino's XP has actually overflowed at times this season. Like, for example, when we've conceded a goal and he's maybe gone a bit too in on one of the players, maybe, rather than rallying them.
Callum Doyle's XP is always high. I was very surprised when I watched him at Oxford his first game.
Consistent on XP.
Just screaming at everyone.
Yeah.
Kenny McLean telling the ref that he was like a effing job's worth.
Yeah, do you know what?
That probably backfired a bit, but the XP was overflowing there.
So that's my answer to that point, Matt. XP of the season goes to Kenny McLean. Sam Love. What a name, by the way. Sam Love. That can't be his name. Let's just quickly read. His bio for the shits and gigs. The fascists have the outfits, but I don't care for the outfits. What I care about is music, and the communists have the music.
Wow, deep.
Not sure what that means, Sam Love, but what a name.
Yeah,
name of the week. Statement, 5 points off playoffs, given our injury... Have I just said something that will get us cancelled?
I don't think so.
Statement, 5 points off playoffs, given our injury crisis, isn't anything to panic about. No one was expecting any points from yesterday or Wednesday. That's true. Agree with that, Sam Love. No need to panic. By the end of Jan, we'll have a fully fit squad plus Eurosec, and we'll be in the mixer come Easter. Sam, I love that from you.
Do you want me to say something that I know is going to anger you?
You know,
you haven't been angry enough this podcast.
No, I have.
I've not wound you up.
After your
I'm
going
to say anyway. So Sam, great point, and I agree. We're in touching distance of the playoffs.
What are you about to say?
Some people would say, you come to me, Chris, and you go, Jack, we're only 5 points off the playoffs. I think with a fully fit squad, we're going to get the top 6. Let's say we win the playoffs. All right? Let's say we win the playoffs.
Yeah.
Lots of people would say, not saying I'm saying it, but lots of people would say, and I think it's fair that we reflect everyone's opinion here on the TNC podcast, we're not ready for the Premier League. We don't want to go up this season. What would you say to that? What would you say? We're not ready. It would be bad if we went up this season.
Mate, well
the squad's not ready.
Well, first of all, you don't need to worry about going up the season because we're not going up this season, okay? So that's the first comment. So you've not got under my skin on that.
Okay.
But what I would say is if we were in the position to go up this season, and I cannot tolerate that absolutely you're lucky you've not had a second yellow, by the way. Yeah. We've had
Tanaka of Leeds.
First we've had Raster, and now we've had, minus XP.
I'm minus XP. There's a late challenge there, and I'm lucky that the ref's not quite followed through.
I think that's diabolical. I mean, what's the point? What is the point? Yes, we know the Premier League is what it is. Yes, we know that modern football is a soulless sack of shit for the majority of the time. But if you don't want to go up, what's the point? What are we all going to start doing? Going, oh yeah, it's fantastic that we've managed to get a new fucking toilet cleaner in at Carrow Road. This is amazing. Like, look at the way that we've cut the grass this week. Like, oh God, come on.
The veg patch might be doing well.
Right.
Maybe that's what Jack Wilshere's doing. He's tending to the veg patch. Or maybe Jack Wilshere is responsible for turning the soccer bot on in the morning and warming it up.
Kevin Yarham says the game we realised we were miles off it. Hopefully we can add another couple of players in the transfer window. Yes, I agree with that, Kevin.
Yeah.
But we've always known, and we did. We knew that it was very before Sheffield and
spit it out.
Before Sheffield United and Leeds, we thought, oof, and actually. To have only conceded 2 goals in both games.
It's weird, isn't it? Because
I don't know. Is that a bit defeatist?
We had Sheffield United and Leeds in quite close proximity at the start of the season at home, and we
my
drew with both of those.
Have my standards slipped?
I think we drew with both of those, and I walked away from those games going, well, maybe we're not too far off the top two.
I'll tell you what we are far off. Sam Lemon says, by the way, another cracking name. Sam Lemon says, statement, tell Buendia to sign the ting.
Oh, he's back, isn't he? It's not, I saw him play for Villa the other night.
There is absolutely not a chance that Emi Buendia will come back to the Norwich City Football Club, sadly, because I love him and I love Emi.
Yeah.
And he did actually like one of our social media posts.
Did he?
Actually. Yeah.
On an Emi Buendia Aston Villa tangent.
Right, come on.
We've been doing this pod for what, like 10 years now? Nearly 10 years.
Really? I need to retire.
And I've always said to you, my dream of being a Norwich City fan is watching Norwich in Europe and just like going to the kind of arse end of nowhere. Max Stokes, do you know Max, the Aston Villa fan? Yeah. He was making me very jealous in the week because he was in Monaco watching his club.
Class.
And I just looked at that as he was drinking overpriced European lager in the blue skies of the harbour of Monaco, and I was just going, fuck, I wish that was me.
And you were in Yarmouth.
And I was in Yarmouth watching Norwich City getting pumped by Leeds. But what Max didn't have that I did have was the ability to second screen the Norwich game and watch Claudia Winkleman on the telly. So who's the real winner here?
I just kind of back to Kevin's point and to respond to your point about the Villa tangent there. I think some of the expectation is possibly / probably in absolute la land, and there was a lot of conversation off the back of the Brighton game, going, oh, look at them, The amount of money that these clubs have got and also put in versus what we have done is just we are literally on another universe. So I don't even think there's any point. Like, yeah, all right, great for you. I'm really pleased you're in Europe. Let's just try and get a shot on target.
Here's a good one, and it comes back to what's the point. And Avinko, I think, needs a bit of a hug and a bit of an arm around the shoulder and just tell him everything's going to be all right.
Avinko, another great name. Come on.
His profile picture is of the legendary punter Barney Curley. If you know Barney Curley, you're a good person. He says, just don't know what the point is anymore. In over 30 years of being a Norwich City fan, over 30 years...
I shouldn't laugh. But actually, it's really interesting because that is
Can you just respect the question from me?
That is some people's reality. They've been driven to the point of modern football that they are like, what's the point? And I think it's a crying shame.
Listen to Avinko.
Come on then.
I just don't know what the point is anymore. In over 30 years of being a fan, it's got to this stage of just being sick and tired of it. I've lost hope in the new regime, I have to say.
Do you know, I shouldn't laugh, yeah. but do you know, I am smiling because it's so depressing. But the reality is, and by the way, this is the reality of how some fans are feeling at the moment, right? And that's why it's important to try to continuously develop the playing staff. It's important to continue to have acceptable standards. And unfortunately, the standards have slipped.
Well, here you go. This might be Avinko's second account, or it might be someone else who's also feeling the same. NCFC Norwich Boy 999 says, I'm simply fed up of hearing projects, patience, transitions, etc. How about trying to win games of football in the here and now? Fans go to games wanting to be entertained, not watch 10 passes to get out of our own box, seeing us casually trotting around having no effect, and Hernandez starting up front.
Do you know what? I think it's a relatively fair point. Yeah. I think that there is a balance to be had between between transitions, projects, and patience, and the here and now. And our seesaw has gone boof like that, and now it's almost like the here and now. It's almost like Have you
ever read the book Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell?
No. Tell me about it.
I think Norwich fans need to read that. It's essentially like, you're trying to find the happy medium, and it's going to go to one extreme or the other at some point. Okay. And Jack Wilshere and Johannes and the Veg Patch and like the Soccer Bot trying to kind of bring it back, trying to find the here and now, and also the planning for the future. And that seesaw was really difficult to kind of balance.
Yes.
It's like if us two were sat on a seesaw, it would be like that.
Yes.
Because I'm larger than you. So you need to add a bit of a soccer bot down that end to balance us out, basically.
Swiftly moving on. Few quick fires. Why not? Okay. Ashley's statement: keep calm, trust the process. Agree?
Yeah, agree.
Good. Jeff Man, hello Jeff Man, says, rave! Ooh. Have you lads seen the next 10 games after Leeds, coinciding with the key players coming back and Jurasek being introduced? I think we could go on a huge run.
Well, let's do. I mean, we love doing this game.
Jeff Man 98
and being overly optimistic and then being disappointed at the outcome.
Just one moment, Jeff Man 98. You're clearly taking advantage of that Lakins deal, and well done, you, my friend.
Yes.
I tell you what, the passion and the optimism from Jeff Man 98 is flying.
It is. Right. Next.
Do you agree though?
No, I do. Let me read you the fixtures,
Come on.
and you just go win, draw, or lose. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Swansea at home.
Win has to be a win. Win.
Watford away.
Watford's recent home form has been poor.
Draw.
Draw.
This is meant to be quick.
Draw.
Let's just do yours because it's going to be too long otherwise. Derby at home.
Win. Gotta be a win.
Preston at home.
I tell you what, if we lose to Derby, I'm seriously fucking concerned.
Preston at home.
Win.
Hull away.
Win.
Former City of Culture.
Stoke
at home.
Wet Wipe FC. Stoke at home. Win.
Blackburn away. That's a toughie.
Loss.
Oxford at home.
Win.
Who are, I think, now basically level on points with us. Sheffield Wednesday at home.
Cool, now you said that, don't like that. At home, win.
Bristol City away.
Draw.
West Brom at home.
Why have I said draw? No, sorry. Win against Bristol City away. Yeah, come on!
West Brom at home.
Draw.
Plymouth away.
Win.
So that takes you to the start of April.
Okay.
We will know where we are.
So we've won quite a few games. Have I been a bit negative in that?
I think you've been a bit positive. Just saying I'll win at Bristol City. We couldn't even beat them at home.
Yeah, actually, God, that's a good that's a good point.
I think you need to settle down a bit.
Let us know your prediction for the next 10 games.
The next, that there are certainly home games in there.
Yeah.
I look at that run where we've got Derby on the Saturday, Preston on the Tuesday. Like, those are the types of periods that can quite simply propel you from where we are now into the playoffs.
We have to win there.
But I saw, I think it was Chris Gorham tweet out last night after the Leeds game. He's like, I think the squad that we played against Leeds is going to be the exact same for what we face against Swansea. There's going to be no change in terms of people coming back from injury, etc. So we are still going to be depleted.
I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
Well, we are at home. We're at Carrow Road,
we have to win.
And those players should produce.
Yeah.
Against Swansea,
Agreed.
struggling. Sorry, I shouldn't say struggling. A bang average Swansea side. I'll give you a quick giggle. A Swansea fan. I put this on social media that we should win against a bang average Swansea side.
Who just got thumped by Cardiff in the South Wales derby.
And the classic response when you call someone average is, well, if we're average, what does that make you if we beat you? Well, I'll tell you the answer. Pretty shy.
Well, that plays into Carl Skillings' point.
Jack OTBC quickly. Jack OTBC says statement 0 shots on target.
Yeah.
Carl Skillings, go.
Every Norwich fan simply needs to accept that we're a mid-table side. And that's okay for now. We're trying to build something special, and it takes time. If in 2 years we're still in this situation, then we can all say it's not working. Let's do it right this time.
Yeah, I agree with that, Carl.
I like that, Carl.
I agree with that, Carl. Possibly just sounds just a little bit passive. Let's get it back to, yes, this is going to take time. Yes, we know that this is a transition season. But at the same time, we still expect to go into a game of football showing some threat.
Love that word.
Like looking like we could score, which we haven't done in the last 2 games. Like, you know how much I despise XG, but I looked at the XG of the last 2 games and I thought, oof, bloody Nora.
An XG of negative goals.
Art Mixer says statement, overreaction from the last game. Probably the scoreline you expect when you go to Sheffield United with 9 first teams injured. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, I go back to, I think, what Chris Gorham said before the Sheffield United game. I think the matchday squad for that game, I think we had 13 players that had played league football for Norwich before.
Love that.
13 players.
Right, let's have a fun question. NCFC only. Fucking love that name. NCFC only. Says, question, excluding OTBC, what's your boy's favourite ever chant? Ooh. One that just fits with the lyrics hang on, one that just fit with the lyrics and always got the crowd going.
I think, like, the one that's just popped in my head, and I'm not really sure why, it wasn't a particularly...
Favourite chant ever. This is a big moment,
Yeah,
Jack.
no, it is. Can I just say, like, one that's popped into my head and I had huge amounts of fun during that period singing it?
No, I want your favourite chant ever.
I'm just going to say this one.
Right, cool.
That is a DJ. He's magic. Like, that was just a fun time.
You know. That's your favourite ever Norwich City chant.
I think...
Come on.
I remember being on the concourse with you at Crystal Palace, I think, singing the Mbakani chant.
Oh,
that went off that day. That was a fun period.
So you quite like what I'd call a niche moment player chant.
I just think
Did you like the Gary O'Neill one as well?
I like the chants that don't last a huge, like, it might last a season.
Right.
But, like, for that season, it's the sound of the season.
The sound of the season.
They're the ones I really like.
Okay. So you liked, like, the Johnny Rowe one, for example?
Yeah, Johnny Rowe was great. I'm trying to think, what was, like, the one for Farker
Sarah?
in 18...
Farker on a horse? You liked a bit of that
was
as
a
well?
great chant. That was a... Probably, I'm going to say that, actually. That was a really... I was at a good age of following Norwich away. I had zero responsibility. You know, Farker on a horse. That was the sound of the season. Norwich were playing great.
Okay.
The beer was flowing.
The sound of the season. I love that.
Farker on a horse. What a great team to support.
Do you know what? That is a really, really tough question, though, isn't it? Because there's been so many good chants. I'm trying to think of one. Yeah, I think like you, I quite like a player.
Grant Holt is a classic.
That was where I was landing. Maybe like a super Grant Holt, Norwich's number 9.
It's the one where you can really, you've had 3 pints, you're in that happy spot, and you can really let rip in the chorus. And you've got the lads kind of pounding something.
Pounding anything.
Bit of beer throwing. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I'll accept it.
Fine. Yeah, but if it spills a little bit as you're pounding.
Those away days, tight concourse.
Okay, fine.
Everyone's cheering.
We're aligned.
If we're talking about what's the point, that's the point.
Yeah, that's
the point.
Yes.
Those moments.
Oh, God, that really gets me going.
They're the moments where you
go,
God, my blood is rushing and I feel alive.
Fuck, that's good from you.
And I look
I've just rescinded that yellow card I gave you for roster. That's superb from you.
I've reached the point where they take the...
And it's about time I saw some XP from you, Jack Reeve. That is fucking brilliant.
I love seeing the lads who started to go to away games with their group for like the first time.
Right, yeah.
And like, you know, they're just at the point where they can start having beer. And I'm like, that is such a special moment in a lad's
it's class, isn't it? Yeah.
Where everything feels possible.
Yeah.
You're seeing new places. If you are 18, 19,
you're seeing shitholes.
Whatever, you know, really embrace that period.
Yeah, I agree.
My life advice.
God,
some life advice?
Oh my God, you're
do as many away games at that age as you can.
Yeah.
Go to fucking, you know, the Cassam and have a pint in the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, I've 4 pints in the Hollywood Bowl. And then go to the Cassam and make some noise.
But do you know what?
And punch some sort of doors.
But
enjoy it.
We don't condone punching doors, but we do condone...
Not a punch, but like a pound.
Yeah, we're condoning... we are strongly condoning pounding.
Yes.
When it comes to things that you can pound without permanent damage.
Yes. So inanimate objects you're allowed to hit and make noise. If it's someone's face, don't punch someone's face.
Right, let's quickly move away from pounding. We've got a rant! Another rant from Arthur Kemp with Borja out. We need to find some sort of creativity in the final third. So poor on Saturday. Pathetic. That's fair, isn't it? We can't disagree with that. We miss Borja.
I'm sad about the Borja situation.
And we do.
I think it's a really sad state.
But I actually, this sounds...
Still the championship top scorer and hasn't scored since mid-November.
This probably is not an ideal thing to say because it's quite divisive, so apologies in advance. Anyway. But I hope this makes the minority giving Borja stick. I hope this makes you think. And actually, I hope this makes you appreciate what he brings to this side, because without Borja...
Yeah, but you're allowed to criticise his actions.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. But I'm not saying that, by the way. I'm saying people were giving him stick when he wasn't assisting, when he wasn't scoring, when he's already the championship's top goal scorer. If you want to criticise what he's done, that's on you. That's my point.
Charlie King says, as much as Angus Gunn is loved by the fans, he really isn't suited to
going on Gunny, interesting.
We love him and will always sing his name. However, with his feet and confidence passing out from the back and dealing with pressure is an issue. Despite his shot-stopping ability, Johannes will want more. I think that's an interesting one, and it's a nuanced kind of discussion around Angus Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want my honest opinion on Angus?
No. Yeah, come on.
I don't think his heart's fully in it.
Oh, no way. I've just yellow carded you.
Yeah,
I've yellow carded you
that
again.
hurts me to say. And
Yellow card.
I think he knows his future is away from Norwich.
Okay.
And that's in the back of his mind. Whether he...
That's not his heart. That's not his heart, though, Jack.
It is in a way.
Your head and your heart are two very different things.
I think he's looked different this season.
Okay.
I think he's looked different.
Well, I think I know what you're trying to get at, but I wholeheartedly disagree with the comment. His heart's not in it.
Maybe his head's in sort
He
of
isn't.
clouds a bit.
He bleeds yellow and
No,
green.
I know
that.
I know that. But you can bleed yellow and green and not.
And he impassionately cares about this football club and what we do and what we achieve and its history and its future. But I think what you're trying to say is when there's loads of rumours going around about your future, when you've not been offered a new contract, that might affect your performances. Is that what you're saying? Right. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying. And I think if we're just going from a cold-hearted performance level, I don't think he's been good enough this season.
But I always say, and this is regardless of whether it's actually no, a bit different for George, but actually I probably shouldn't have said that. But oh god, it was too late. Your goalkeeper is always your last line of defence.
Yes.
And if your defence, and to a degree your holding midfielders in front of that, are nowhere to be seen or a substandard, you are always going to struggle. If you're allowing teams to take shots that they're taking in the positions that they're taking them at the moment, it's really difficult.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe I've got my Angus Gunn glasses on, but for me, I think at the moment, we're not playing with confidence. We're not even showing any threat going forwards. Never mind shots on.
Stop using the word.
No, I'll keep using it. I'll keep. You know what? I'm going to make this the hashtag of this podcast just to annoy you. If you've watched or listened to this point, I want to see on social media hashtag show more threat.
I'm not doing that. I'm not writing that myself.
Hashtag show more threat. Okay.
I just think I know Angus's levels, and I think he's been below them this season.
Maybe we did a new one. XT, expected threat.
I think there's already a stat for that. It's not called. It's.
That's yeah. What is that?
Is it like dangerous?
It's a dreadful one.
Oh.
It's such a bad stat.
It's expected. Yeah, there is
I know
a
what you
stat.
mean.
It's like
it's awful.
When you're in dangerous areas. Some nerd in Oxford is kind of...
Oh, that's a dangerous area.
Writing an algorithm.
0.01 on that. Let's see. Is it XG open play? No, that's expected goals. No, anyway, there is a stat somewhere for it.
Right, I think that will do it.
Can we put me out of my misery?
That will do it. How are you feeling about everything?
Do you know what? Shit.
Right, really?
It's been a shit week. But no, let's not dress it up. It has been a shit week. We don't have to pretend it's not been a shit week. It's been a shit week.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah? It's been a shit week.
Feel the feeling.
Yeah? No shots on target. Not showing enough threat or any threat.
Brighton battering us.
You know, it's been a shit week.
Have you just forgotten that game happened?
It's okay. It's a complete non-event.
Yeah.
Brighton at home is a complete non-event.
He's starting to learn. He's not up for the cup anymore.
It's a non-event. Brighton at home is a non-event in our position. Anyway. It's been a shit week, and that's okay, right? But here's the key. From this weekend, it changes. And I tell you what,
it starts before this weekend.
God, do you know? God, I just got goosebumps. Yeah. It fucking changes, Jack. We'll be pounding on the ceiling. I don't know, anti-Cernat's green banana, whatever. I don't care. You know, I can just sense. From Saturday, Swansea at home. Let's take the game. Let's take the game to Swansea. Let's show them our sword.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's show our swords to Swansea.
Yeah.
Yeah? And let's go for it. Let's attack.
I think that's a good mindset to have, Chris.
Let's attack. Sergeant to start. Feed the sergeant. He will score. I want to see salutes everywhere. I want to see passion from the... I want to see... let's go back to Stephen Lister. Let's see some passion in the stands on Saturday, yeah? No, seriously. What I would actually say about the atmosphere, let's give the boys something now. They're struggling. The boys are struggling right now. Let's not dress it up.
I'm struggling.
We're struggling. Yeah, I know, but...
Give me something.
But in these times of struggle,
Yeah.
there's only two options. Yeah. One, you continue to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you end up on the canvas. Yeah. Or you punch back. Yeah. And you have a go.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, we've been hit. Yeah. 2 goals against Sheffield United. Bash from our own mistakes. Leeds United, 2 goals. Bash. And we're like this. We're all hazy on the ropes, right? And then all of a sudden, Sarge starts against Swansea. Boof! Yeah? We headbutt them. And come on! Let's stand up and be counted. Let's shout in the stands. Let's fucking come on, boys. Show some fight. You know, John, what's about it? First minute. You know what? Do you know what I want? We conceded on the 33rd second against Leeds United. 33rd second against Swansea. Do you know what I want? A 2-footed challenge. I want to barge off the ball. A foul. Get a booking. Fine. Make sure it's in the snake pit corner. Big ball. Come on. Believe. Yeah, but no, I like it. Come on.
Epic.
Next 10 games. Yeah. Next 10 games. Come on. We know they're winnable. Come on.
That was fucking brilliant.
But that's how I feel at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's channel that frustration and let's go for it. Do you remember that word apathy that we were using?
Yeah, I remember that word.
Oh, I just feel quite apathetic. Don't you dare go back there again. Don't you dare. If you're in the stands on Saturday, come on. Use your voice, use your hands. I don't care if you're a Bovril boy. I don't care if you're in the family end, yeah? Clap, shout, scream. Back the boys and make some noise.
Chris Reeve, well done. Really good.
Cheers, mate.
See you at Carrow on Saturday.
I need to have a lay down.
Road the following Saturday.
Yeah, come on.
Want to see people there?
Yeah, come on.
Hitting things.
Yeah.
Not people.
Yeah.
Things.
Yes.
Making noise.
Back the
boys. This has been a TFC podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.
I need to lay down.